Hello, everybody. My name is Paola Villegas. I'm a student in major in environmental health. I currently work for the Salvadorian Red Cross in the area of risk management. I will present research, knowledge, attitudes, and practices related to prevention of mosquito-borne diseases in a urban community in El Salvador. This research was supported together with National Institute of Health in the University of El Salvador. This presentation has been divided into 5 sections. First, in the introduction, I will present a bit background about the problematic situation that El Salvador is facing because of these mosquito-borne diseases. Second, the objectives of the research. Third, the methodology about how data were collected. 4. Results about knowledge, attitudes, and practices related to prevention of mosquito-borne diseases in a urban community in El Salvador. Finally, conclusion of the research. Mosquito-borne diseases are zoonotic diseases spreading worldwide, especially in the tropic and subtropical belts. In El Salvador, mosquito-borne diseases cause a serious problem. Over the years, the Salvadorian public health system has invested a large amount of research to minimize the problem through campaigns against mosquito-borne disease. Despite this, the population is still affected by the recent diseases as dengue, chikungunya, and Zika outbreak. The optimal means of controlling any one of them is likely to be a combination of vector control, drug management of clinical illnesses, and vaccines. However, there are no vaccines for most diseases and clinical management, suppose elevated costs for health institutions and affordable for most countries in development. These diseases are a major economic burden within disease endemic countries. Poor living conditions, a lack of access to adequate housing, safe drinking water and sanitation, low of access to health attention, and the high adaptability of the mosquito vector to a broad fan environmental condition exacerbate the impact of mosquito-borne diseases in developing countries, especially among the poorer segment of the society. Currently, the application of pesticides to control the adult mosquitoes supposes high economic costs to health institutions and possible environmental and human health concerns, especially if used persistently. More effective ways are to prevent, measure bites, and reproduction of mosquitoes. These are known as water, sanitation, and hygiene measures, carried out individual and community level and are focused on the personal and housing protection, and emphasize elimination of mosquito breeding sites in domestic areas. The aim of this study was to evaluate water, sanitation, and high variables related to mosquito-borne disease prevention in a homogeneous urban community. El Salvador is a developing country in the Pacific coast of Central America, with the largest population density of continental America with 304 inhabitants per square kilometers, according to Ministry of Economy of El Salvador. In Figure A, you can see El Salvador. It is a small country with only 21,041 square kilometers and is bounded by Honduras to the north and east, by the Pacific Ocean to the south, and by Guatemala to the northwest. El Salvador has a tropical weather with a dry season, November to April, and a wet season, May to October, and is affected periodically by tropical storms and hurricanes. In Figure B, you can see that the study was carried out in a urban community of Ilopango municipality. In Figure C, you can see that the highest density of population is concentrated in the metropolitan area of San Salvador, the capital of the country, with 2,881 inhabitants per square kilometers. Ilopango has a population density of 3,221 inhabitants per square kilometers, and was the municipality with the most cases of mosquito-borne diseases, with 585 confirmed cases by metropolitan hospitals, and present the highest rates of cases of dengue in 2013-2014 in San Salvador municipality. This data can be seen in Figure D. Urban community called San Bartolo is located at 634 meters above level sea and inhabited by working-class families. San Bartolo has a surface and 1,1902 hectares and has around 500 inhabitants. Therefore has local population density of 26,288 people per square kilometer. This community is formed by several pedally ways where a small single-family household, 45 square meters, are settled. This work is a cross-sectional survey about water sanitation hygiene condition, evaluating knowledge, attitudes, and priorities of the community inhabitants towards the prevention of mosquito-borne disease, taking into account demographic variables, and evaluating sanitation and water access conditions of households. The study was conducted from April to May 2015 in San Bartolo community. Face-to-face interviews were performed directly to a representative of each household of over 15 years of age, in order to evaluate the importance of each question according to its contribution on determinant quantification and risk mitigation of spreading mosquito-borne disease. An analytic hierarchy process was used. It is a multi-criteria decision method that uses hierarchical structures to represent a problem and make judgment based on expert to the priority scale, using pairwise comparison to evaluate the importance of each question. Overall, the community consists of 177 households, whereby 110 household representatives were interviewed, while the other 67 could not buy sample because of the reason the inhabitants were not found or they refused to participate. This slide shows sociodemographic data. In the first column you can see results about gender. 61.8% people surveyed were women and 38.8% were men. Then you can see results about the age of people surveyed. 38.1% were between 21 to 39 years old and 36.6% were between 40 to 59 years old. As you can see, the result of academic degree, those interviewed have a basic academic level. 39.1% attended primary and secondary school, 39.12% high school, and only 9.1% of population surveyed has not any academic degree. Finally, you can appreciate results about occupation show that 35.5% of people interviewed are stay-at-home mothers, 56.4% were in construction, maintenance, or domestic employees. In the slide, you can see results about water and sanitation condition. Almost all the houses have pipe water supply, 98.2%. Water is supplied by ANDA, the National Water Company. ANDA supplies safe water. However, 96.4% of the respondents were agreed that they have an inconsistent water supply. Evidence for inconsistent water supply could be found during carrying out this survey. Water containers for storing water were found. The majority of respondents, 77.3%, have regular waste collection 3 times a week, and all them have public wastewater systems. This slide shows the result that people surveyed have about knowledge regarding mosquito-borne diseases. To evaluate that knowledge related to a topic, the questionnaire presents A question related to a topic with different possible answers. Some of these answers were correct and some false. Respondents had to identify if different answers true or false. If the respondent identified more than 50% on the answer correctly and acceptable knowledge related to the topic was considered and that question was scored by 1. On the other hand, if less than 50% of the answers were not identified correctly, it was considered that the respondent had an unacceptable knowledge and the question was scored by 0. The aggregate result showed that the respondents have a high acceptable knowledge, 76.8%, regarding mosquito-borne disease and their prevention. Interview people show a good knowledge regarding the most important issues that are the preventive measures to avoid the reproduction of larvae and pupae and measures to prevent mosquito bites, with 88.2% and 70% respectively. You can see that respondents also obtained good results in other issues as place of mosquito breeding, 95.5%. Mechanism of transmission of mosquito-borne disease, 66.4%. Even about different mosquito-borne disease, 93.6%. This slide shows the result about attitudes regarding mosquito-borne diseases. Attitude answer has had using the Likert scale: strongly disagree, disagree, not sure, agree, and strongly agree. In case of agreement was considered as favorable attitudes and scored with 1 while other class were considered as a negative attitudes and scored with 0. In case of agreement was considered as a negative attitude and were classified as strongly disagree or disagree, were scored with 1 whereas other class were scored with 0. In Table 3 you can see that in general, there had a favorable attitude regarding to prevention of mosquito-borne disease, with a rate result 92.1%. In order of relevance, the results show that the respondents are agree that it is within their responsibility to reduce larvae of mosquitoes at home, and they agree that mosquito-borne disease are serious health problems, obtain 93.6% and 98.2% respectively, which are considered as favorable attitudes. The majority of interviews agreed that preventive measures to reduce mosquito are important to avoid mosquito-borne disease, 96.4%, and most of them disagree that the Ministry of Health is the unique entity responsible for the domiciliary reduction of larvae mosquito, 70.9%, which is considered a favorable attitude too. In the slide, you can see results about priorities related to mosquito-borne diseases. We're explaining 2 different sub-factor preventing measures: eliminating breeding sites and measure on avoiding mosquito bites. Acceptable priorities were scored by 1 and unacceptable was scored by 0. In Table 4, you can see that survey population show an acceptable implementation of priorities toward the prevention of mosquito reproduction, 58.5%, and a poor implementation to prevent mosquito bites, 38.3%. Regarding the most important priorities to prevent reproduction of mosquito according to the factor, almost all respondents eliminate stagnant water, 89.1%, and wash the water containers, 84.5%, but only few covered water containers, 23.6%. Secondary priorities is application of larvicides or use of fishing water containers are only slightly applied with 39.1% and 4.5% respectively. Regarding to mosquito bite prevention priorities with a higher weight factor, the major use bed nets, 62.7%, but only low percent of the interviewed households use screen or windows on doors, 5.5%. Regarding other parties of lower importance, most of the respondents use fans to prevent mosquito bites, 73.6%, but other measures, as application of insecticides and repellents, are poor use, 35.5% and 33.6% respectively. The finder will have acceptable knowledge about mosquito-borne disease, a high favorable attitude regarding to prevent them, and a scarce of implementation of practice to prevent them. Results show that general conformism about the spraying of pesticides such as the best method to control of adult mosquito. Additionally, the store of water on one covered water container because of the irregular water supply is a generalized practice. Containers full or clean waters are common breeding sites for Aedes albopictus and Aedes aegypti mosquitoes, and therefore there is a high risk Aedes-borne disease transmission that is magnified by the high population density of the community. It is necessary to enhance education to promote implementation of prevent practice, especially the simplest and efficient choice is the use of water containers covers and use window screens. Common media such as TV and radio, together with local health workers, are the most useful channel of spreading the information related to prevention practice together. Thanks for your attention.